So as I mentioned, my name is Jamie Cummings. I am the ServiceNow Ventec trainer. I've been working with ServiceNow since 2007. I actually started out as a help desk agent, and we got ServiceNow as a replacement for Altiris, no training. So I taught myself how to write code in ServiceNow, learned everything about ServiceNow, and throughout the years became a ServiceNow admin, developer, consultant, engagement manager. Then I started doing training, and I've actually started up 2 training practices for 2 ServiceNow Gold Star partners. And now I'm here today with Ventec, assisting you guys on ServiceNow Service Catalog. So if we can just quickly go around the line and find out who we've got on the line, and if you could just give me just a quick little run through of what you do in your day-to-day.
This is Cindy Smith. I am with the CDBS contractor at Soft-Dev Consulting, and I do trouble tickets for facilities and networks.
Okay. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you.
This is Carolyn Owens. I'm with the HICAR contract, and in ServiceNow, I'll be primarily using the ad hoc module.
Okay. Welcome, Carolyn. Okay. Do we have anyone else on the line? All right. Guess it's just us then. All right, let's go ahead and get started. The service catalog definition and goals. Essentially, the service catalog is the storefront for IT. It's where all the IT products and services are going to be published for HICS users to go and request IT goods and services, password resets. They can submit ERB requests for a new laptop or a peripheral, a new mouse or monitor. Or they can request different access for a software push or a server build. And the goal of the service catalog is basically to inform the HICS users about the available goods and services that IT has to offer. And it's also going to empower them to submit those requests on their own behalf without having to involve a service desk agent. So we're going to give users the autonomy to go in and request whatever products and services they need from IT. Okay. Request management ties into a few other processes. So within incident management, there is the ability to create requests. Through case management, quality agents have the ability to spawn a service request directly from a case form. And within change management, there is a service catalog option for HICS users to request changes to the infrastructure by submitting a change request record. Okay? The request fulfillment stakeholder, so there are 3 main stakeholders associated with the request fulfillment process. Your requesters are generally those individuals who are just submitting requests for different products and services from IT. Depending upon the item that's ordered, typically anything hardware or ERB related will definitely go through an approval process. So if I'm requesting a new laptop, I submit that ERB request. Once I order that item, it's going to go through an approval process where a signature authority will receive an email notification. They'll review it, approve it. Purchasing manager will get a notification to review and approve the request. Then our GTL will receive an email notification to review and approve, and ultimately they'll have the final approval, or they'll specify a contracting officer to go in and do the approval. Once all approvals have been received, typically with an ERB process, the procurement team is going to get fulfillment tasks on the back end that they need to complete to fulfill that request. If someone is requesting hardware that we have in stock, we may decide to go ahead and pull that item from the warehouse and initiate the HHS 22 transfer of asset process. Or we may not have it in stock, so we will need to submit a few RFQs to get quotes for that item that's being requested. Okay? So your 3 main stakeholders are always going to be your requesters, approvers for any hardware or purchase request related requests, and then your fulfillers, the back-end people who are doing some type of work to complete that request. Okay? The service catalog overview. It's always going to begin with a requester submitting a request for an IT product or service. As I mentioned, if it's a hardware item or a purchase request item for hardware, software, additional software, maintenance contracts, or if it's something that's a non-standard purchase request, that's going to go through an approval process. So once that item's been ordered and submitted, the approver will receive an email notification where they can either approve from email or they'll log directly into ServiceNow to review the item and approve directly from an approval form. Once all approvals have been received, fulfillment is going to come in next, and those are your task owners. They've all been assigned a particular task that's going to run in sequential order. So once the first task has been completed, the next task is going to get fired off by the workflow that's been running behind the scenes, and that group's going to get a notification that they have a task that they need to complete. And then ultimately, once all the tasks have been fulfilled and completed, the overall request will be completed and closed, and the requester will receive an email notification informing them that that request has been completed and when to expect the IT product or service. Okay? This slide details the request hierarchy, and for this one, I like to tell everyone to think of Amazon.com. When you go to Amazon.com, you're going to be ordering different items. You know what, I'm a history buff, so I really want this book on the history of Native Americans, so I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to order that book, and I also want this really cute pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses. So those are two items that I'm going to order from Amazon. Okay, once you click on Order Now, Amazon gives you your order number. In ServiceNow, that's your request number or your REQ number. Okay, it's that cart that's holding the specific item or items. In ServiceNow, the requested item, or you may hear it called RITM, is basically requested item. Those are the specific items or services that are being ordered. So for our Amazon example, my book on Native American history and my Ray-Bans, those are two items that are going to be included in my request. On the back end, when Amazon gets that order now, their fulfillment team is going to receive an email notification that there are some tasks required to fulfill that request. I need you to go to the warehouse, make sure we've got this book in stock. Do we have these Ray-Bans in stock? I need you to pull it and send it over to shipping. Okay? Those are the tasks in ServiceNow. So once all of our approvals have been received, a different fulfillment group will receive a notification that a task has been assigned to their group, and they'll go in and complete the task to ultimately complete that overall request. Okay? And if at any time you guys have any questions, just feel free to stop me. Okay? So this slide details a single RITM, or a single requested item. Online through Amazon, we would place an order, so we would get our order number. In ServiceNow, we would submit a request. We're going to get an REQ number, or our request number. When we're ordering through Amazon, we get that book. It goes through a credit card approval, depending upon the item that we order from the service catalog in ServiceNow. If it's a hardware item or a purchase request, it definitely is going to go through an approval process. Software is going to be pre-approved. Okay? Online shopping, the different fulfillment groups will get their task to go in and pull from stock or do whatever they need to do to complete that overall request. In ServiceNow, each particular fulfillment group will receive a task assigned to that group, and once the tasks have been completed, and ultimately once all the tasks have been completed, the request at that point can then be completed. Okay? So this is a screenshot of the Service Catalog application. At the very top where it says Service Catalog, that's our application header, and the breakdown beneath it are the different modules associated with the Service Catalog application. Catalogs module is going to display the out-of-the-box catalogs. So there's going to be two listed there. You don't want to pay attention to that one. The catalog module, that's the one that you're going to want to pay attention to because that's going to provide access to the only IT services catalog that we have published for HICS users. The open records, that's just a sub-application header. It's just separating the rest of the modules, the request, items, and tasks from the catalog modules, okay? The request module is going to display a list of all of those requests that came in. The items module is going to display a list of those requested items or those RITMs that are those individual items contained in a request. And the tasks module is going to display a list of those tasks associated with the catalog task fulfillment process. And each has a tie-in to the request because, again, the request is that container for our item that's being ordered. Okay? So as I mentioned, from the service catalog application, you click on the catalog module, the IT services catalog homepage is going to be displayed. And this is going to give you access to all of the service catalog categories that have been configured for HICS users. As I mentioned, anything hardware services related, anything that goes through the purchase request, those will go through an approval process, okay? Everything else is pre-approved. So we're going to click on the hardware services, that tile in the upper left-hand corner, and once we do that, this screen is going to be displayed, where it gives us a breakdown of those items contained under the hardware services category. Clicking on any one of those items, facilities, server, storage, workstation, is going to display that applicable item. So if we click on server, in the column number 2, it's going to display that hardware services server form. Only one field is going to be displayed on that form, and that's going to be the request type field. And you'll notice it has a red asterisk to the left of the request type name. That's going to indicate a mandatory field, and you will not be able to order an item unless you complete the mandatory field. So once you select the applicable request type, let's say we select server build. Under column 3, order now. Underneath, you see the breakdown with the different fields. All of those fields are going to be displayed based upon the request type you selected. So if we did backup, we'd have a different set of fields that are going to become visible, okay? So your request type is going to drive the visibility of the field. You're going to complete all the mandatory and all the applicable fields. And when you're done, you're going to click on Order Now to order the item and to begin the fulfillment process. So once you click on Order Now, you're going to be taken to this order status confirmation page where you're going to receive your REQ number, your order number. It's going to show you the date and time that the order was placed. And under the stage column, you're going to be able to click on that arrow to expand the list of stages associated with this order. As I mentioned, for those hardware and purchase request items, you'll see that it's going to go through a waiting for approval phase. Once it's done waiting for approval, then it's going to go into a fulfillment phase. For those items that are pre-approved, any software items, you'll see the stages displayed here with the first check mark, waiting for approval already done, because those items don't have approvals associated with them. The Continue Shopping button, so if there are more items that you'd like to order, you would just click on Continue Shopping to continue adding items, to continue ordering items. Excuse me. Okay. As I mentioned, under the Service Catalog application, you've got the Request, Items, and the Task modules. The request has a prefix of REQ, and it's a request record. And that's going to contain the information about what you ordered and the item or items included in that order. So essentially, that's your cart, okay? Nothing really happens at the request level. Typically, it's going to happen at the task level. The Items module is going to display a list of those requested items or those RITMs. The record types for those are going to be items because those are going to detail the individual item or items ordered from the catalog. And then your task module is going to display a list of all those tasks associated with the overall fulfillment of that request. So your tasks are the pieces of work that must be completed in order to complete the overall request. This is a screenshot of the request record. As I mentioned, there's not a lot of activity that's going to happen at the request record level. You can see in the upper left-hand corner our number is automatically generated and it's a read-only field. Our requested for, you can see who requested this item. Our due date field is a field that's automatically populated but can be changed. And then on the right-hand side, we have a whole bunch of read-only automatically populated fields. So as I mentioned, there's not a lot of work that's going to happen at the request record level. Scrolling down on that request form, it's going to display the related list associated with the request. And related lists provide a list of information that reference information in another table that pertain to this current request. So the requested items related list, requested items is its own table, but it has a tie into this particular request. Okay? Clicking on that related list, you will see one in parentheses that details how many items are contained in that request. And we can see that we've got one server item and we can see the RITM number. The approvers related list is going to display a list of those users responsible for approving this request. And then the catalog task related list is going to provide a list of those tasks associated with this request. Okay? The assets, purchase invoices, and the HHS 22s, those are going to come into play for the ERB process, and they're going to primarily be used by the procurement team, so you don't have to worry about those. This is a screenshot of the requested item or the RITM record, and this contains information about the item that was ordered. So we've got our read-only automatically populated number field. We've got our item that was ordered, the server item. We've got a tie back to the request record, and we're also pulling the requested for user from the request record as well as the due date. We can see that we're waiting for approval, our state is open, and if there are any prices associated with the item, that would be listed here as well. We've got our assignment group as infrastructure engineering, and our fulfiller group, who is automatically associated with this item based on the item, who is responsible for ensuring the overall fulfillment of this request. Okay? So based on the item that's ordered, typically a server build item, the ops build team will receive an email notification that a requested item has been assigned to their group. They'll need to come in, they'll set the state to work in progress, and they will assign it to an individual from the ops build group who's responsible for completing that request. Okay? When the requested item is in a work in progress state, if there are any approvals associated with that item, they're going to be listed at the bottom of the requested item form under the Approvers tab. So in our screenshot, we're looking at a list of 6 different approvers who are responsible for approving this particular hardware item. Okay. So once a request has been submitted, there are a number of predefined workflows that run behind the scene that get launched when an item has been ordered. So when an item has been ordered, the request has been submitted. If it's a hardware or a purchase request, it's going to be submitted for approval once the requester submits that item or orders the item. The different approvers will receive an email notification where they'll either approve or reject directly from the email, or they'll navigate to ServiceNow, review the request in ServiceNow, and approve or reject directly from the approval form in ServiceNow. Once all approvals have been received, the different catalog tasks are going to be launched sequentially. So once task 1 has been closed complete, then task 2 will get fired off. Once task 2 is done, task 3 will get fired off, etc. When all tasks have been completed, the overall requested item is going to be set to a closed complete state. If any one of the approvers should reject a request, that's going to terminate that request fulfillment process, and that requested item is going to be closed complete. And the requester will receive an email notification indicating why that request was rejected. For those items that require no approval, such as software push, once the item's been submitted, a task is going to immediately be fired off by the workflow. Once each task has been completed, another task is going to get fired off, and when all those tasks have been completed, the overall requested item will be set to a closed complete state. Okay? So not very complicated. You know, if the item has an approval process, the specified approvers will receive an approval notification. They'll either approve or reject. Once all approvals have been received, then the task will get fired off. Okay? So this slide talks about the approval process. Once an item has been submitted, it's going to go through an approval process. If there is an approval process associated with that item, so any hardware or purchase request item. In our screenshot here under column number 1, our approver is going to see a notification similar to the screenshot under column 1. They'll see a summary of the requested item, the different options selected, and they'll have the ability to click to approve or click to reject the request. They also have the ability to view the actual approval request record by clicking on link, or they can view the request form by clicking on link. So when they click on either one of those links, it's either going to take them to the approval request form or the actual request form. Okay. The second place where an approver can approve is through the My Approvals module located under the Service Desk application. So they'll navigate to ServiceNow. In the Filter Navigator field, they'll type in My Approvals, and under the Service Desk application, they'll click on that My Approvals module, where they're going to be taken to a list of approvals currently assigned to them in a requested state. So in our screenshot under column 2, we're looking at the My Approvals module, and it's displaying a list of approvals in a requested state for our approver, Fred Letty. Fred would click on one of the requested links under the state column, and it's going to open up the approval form. Where at the very top of that form, Fred's either going to click on approve or reject. And if he rejects a request, he will need to specify comments as to why he's going to be rejecting that request. Okay. If you're waiting on an approval for an item, there's a few different places where you can check the status. So when you initially submit an item, you're going to be taken to the order status page where you can expand the stage and you can see the exact stage that your item is in. Screenshot number 1 over to the left, under the requested items related list on the request form, you can scroll over to the stage column and you can display the exact stage that your requested item is in. It was in the waiting for approval stage. All the approvals have been received, so that's got a check mark. Everything's been approved. Now we're in fulfillment, which is currently in progress. When fulfillment's done, that's going to have a green check mark, and we're going to move down to configuration, and that's going to be in progress. When that's done, that's going to have a little green check mark. It's going to be set to completed, and then we're going to move on to delivery. Until we're done, and then completed, we'll have a check mark, and our requester will receive an email notification that their request has been completed. The second place an approver can approve is from the request form. They'll scroll down to that approver's related list. They'll locate their name. So if I'm Amos, I would click on the requested link under the state column. And that's going to take me into the approval form where I can click on the approve or reject button, like in number 3. Okay, once I click on that requested link under the state column. So there's a few different places where you can check the approval or the status. The approvers related list will show where it's at in the stage of approvers. So we can see Alan Guy, he's no longer required because we've already got another approval from the group that Alan is in. So now next Amos is going to have to approve, and then once Amos is done, we'll see requested move to approved, and then the next person in the list will approve. And if Amos is the last person that needs to approve, then he'll be the last one listed there with a state now as approved. So that's another place where you can view the status of your request. The catalog task record, as I mentioned, once all the approvals have been received, if you're ordering a hardware or you're submitting a purchase request item, once all those approvals have been received, the catalog task is going to be immediately triggered by the workflow. And for all of your catalog items, all the tasks are going to be fired off sequentially. So once task 1 is done, then task 2 will get fired off. Scrolling to the bottom of the request form is the catalog task related list. And in parentheses, it shows us the number of tasks associated with this request. So the ops build assignment group would receive a notification that a task has been assigned to their group. They'll go in through the task module or my group's work, and they'll pick up the applicable task. Someone from ops build will assign it to themselves, and they'll actively start working on that task. So this is a screenshot of the catalog task form. There is a short description for the task. We would have more of a robust description so that ops build knows exactly what they need to do to complete this task. Someone from ops build will enter their name in the assigned to field. They're going to move that state from open to work in progress, and they're going to actively start working to complete that task. As I mentioned, there's going to be a few places where you can locate your task. You're either going to go to My Work or My Group's Work under the Service Desk application. My Work is going to display a list of all tasks that have been assigned to you. So any cases, problem tasks, change tasks, incident tasks, catalog tasks will be listed under My Work. Same with My Group's Work. If any type of task, case task, problem task, incident task, catalog task has been assigned to your group, and if you're a member of multiple groups, it's going to list all of those tasks assigned to all of those groups you're a member of under the My Group's Work module. In screenshot number 2, next to the task type column, you're going to left-click on that little hamburger icon, and in screenshot number 3 is the pop-up menu that's going to display. The one thing you're going to want to do is group by task type so that you can see in screenshot number 4 the different tasks and how they're going to be grouped. And you can click on that arrow next to task type to expand that grouping of tasks so that you can see a listing of all of those records associated with that particular task. So clicking on that arrow next to task type case 10 is going to display all 10 of those case management records associated with your group. Okay. So we kind of talked about working a task once ops build receives their notification that a task has been assigned to them. That individual is going to go into the task record. They're going to change the state from open to work in progress. What it doesn't note here is the assigned to field. They'll need to make sure that they assign that task to themselves so that they can easily access that task under My Work. Because once you assign a task to yourself, My Work is going to display a listing of those tasks assigned to you. You'll also want to document the progress or the steps that you're taking to actively work that task in the Work Notes field. And then in screenshot 3, it's just giving you a link back to the requested item. So if you need to view the actual information associated with that item, you can click on that information icon to be taken directly into the request record, or you can hover over it to view the fields associated with the requested item record. So when you're done working the task, you've logged your work notes, you're going to need to select the state, change it from work in progress to close complete. If you're able to successfully complete the task, no issues, you're going to select close complete. If for any reason you're working on the task failed, we've got a task to partition this database, this didn't work, I'm going to label this as close incomplete. Close skipped, we've got a task to partition the database, but this database already has a partition, so I don't need to complete this. I'm going to close skip it, okay? Primarily, you're going to select close complete, okay? If for any reason you're unable to complete a task, you'll just detail that in your work notes field and select the applicable state, close incomplete or close skipped. So when all the tasks have been marked close complete, the requested item record is going to be set to close complete, and the request record is going to be set to approved, and the approval field is going to be set to approved. And this is essentially going to end the request fulfillment process. The requester will receive an email notification that their request has been completed, and they'll also have instructions on when they can expect their product or service. So this is a screenshot of the different email notifications that will be triggered possibly throughout the life cycle of a request. So once a request has been opened on a user's behalf, or if that requested for field should change, the user specified and the requested for field will receive the email notification, or your requester will receive the notification. When a requested item has moved from open to the work in progress state, the requester or the requested for user is going to receive that notification. When a catalog task has been assigned to a group, that assignment group will receive the notification. When any comments, the additional comments is changed on a requested item, then our requester, basically our requested for user, will receive a notification. Requester will also receive an email notification if at any time that request has been rejected. Any questions on the request fulfillment process before we do a walkthrough in ServiceNow?